contents of the file, identify which are the unique blocks. We started backing up only those unique blocks rather than backing up the entire file. So what did we gain out of this? The storage capacity that was consumed earlier started reducing because there are a lot of duplicate files. There are some statistics here where we show there is a huge reduction in the storage capacity that is consumed in an office environment. Office environment is not only an organization, I'm talking about Microsoft Office or any other office automation software which you're going to use in your environment. We are able to reduce that space now. Right? Going forward, again looking at the optimization part, we started actually looking at what are the resources that are being used. So what are the resources? It could be servers, your networks, and the backend storage. Right? Apart from duplicates, what we also found is most of the resources are not used to their fullest extent. For instance, most of the servers in the most critical environments what we have seen are not utilized beyond 15 to 20%. But we have very, very high-end configurations of the servers. Today, in fact, we have quad-core, 8-core CPUs coming in. Do we really use that? But there are certain applications which define that you need those configurations of the servers, the CPUs. Then we came up with the technology of virtualization called it VMware. VMware is the product where we started virtualizing this. What do we mean by virtualizing it? We actually use a set of resources that are available. We slice them into smaller logical partitions. On a given hardware, in fact on the same laptop which has got a single CPU, maybe 2 GB of RAM, I can run multiple operating systems on this, all being active simultaneously. I will dedicate some amount of resources for each one of them, and you can run them simultaneously. That is how we started looking at optimizing the server infrastructure. Next is on the storage also, we did the same thing. Then we also, this is on the SAN storage, then on the NAS storage also, we started achieving virtualization by distributing resources equally across all the available resources in the environment. Which means that now, there are a lot of technologies which are coming up. Not just from a hardware perspective, there are a lot of software components, not the application development part, the software components that are sitting on top of these storage systems itself, which will help you use the resources optimally at the right performance levels, at the right protection levels. So you can look at innovative ideas wherein you can reduce the infrastructure and also improve the performance levels, add new values to the organizations. In fact, VMware was done by a bunch of about 25 to 30 young entrepreneurs who developed this particular software. In fact, EMC has acquired this and now it is part of the EMC company. But it was a small set of people who started doing this. RSA is another example where the university people did this. Sun is another example. Sun Microsystems, most of you would have heard of this organization. Sun actually stands for Stanford University Network. This is again university students who started a concept of sharing data, and they came up with this innovative idea of coming up with these servers. It is a large organization today. It is about $10 to $12 billion organization. Sun Microsystems. You have RSA, which is again a large organization. VMware is another example where you can look at innovative ideas and then come up with your own solutions. Next is, in fact, again going back to the example of your own college, where I said each one of you probably is given a small slice of storage where you can store a common storage, out of which a small piece is given to you to store your project files and some of your personal files. Do you really use all the capacity on day one? You may not be using that. For instance, if each one of you are given a 10 GB space, are you going to use it on day one? You may not be using that. But in fact, as per the standards, if I am asked to allocate 10 GB to each one of you into 100 students, it is 1 terabyte. Do I really need to, does the college really need to invest the infrastructure for 1 terabyte? May not be. That's a new innovation which we have done in terms of what we call as the virtual provisioning. Though we actually allocate, we say that we are going to allocate 10 GB to each one of you, internally we will not be doing that. We will allocate much lesser space. Probably we will be giving you only 2 GB space. As and when you start consuming space, we will dynamically start adding capacity to a maximum of 10 GB to your requirements. That is how we can optimize and then reduce the investments in the organizations. Security, in fact, this was covered in detail by my colleague here, Mr. Jain. I don't think I need to talk about the security part of it here. One part which I want to mention about security is, apart from the perimeter security, we also have implemented RSA technologies within our storage systems where the data that gets written from the servers, which passes through the network or to the SAN onto the backend storage, can be encrypted so that there is no eavesdropping. Nobody can actually hack into this information and then read it, decrypt and then read this. We have started encrypting this. This is not used by all the organizations. This is used by specific organizations where data criticality and security is extremely important. Ease of management we did cover. In fact, we do have every organization who support the management tools in terms of whether it is servers, networks, or it could be even the storage. We give the GUI interface, which makes it much easier for anyone to configure. So this becomes the biggest challenge for us in today's world. Everywhere we have the power constraints. We have power shutdown, be it on the commercial side or on the domestic side, because we don't have enough power to cater to all the requirements everywhere, be it at home or be it at the office or at the data centers. So the next trend, what we look at is, how do we optimize my power consumption? Right? So there are some statistics here which say that by 2008, end of 2008, 50% of the data centers globally will not have enough power and cooling requirements, will not be able to meet up to this. So while this is a global phenomenon, how does it impact in India as such? The server base has increased by 6 times, the storage capacity, infrastructure, the footprint has increased to a large extent, which means that when we bring in this high-end server storage infrastructure, they also emit a lot of heat. So you need to have appropriate cooling requirements. You need to have your air conditioning, which is of a higher capacity now. Moreover, as and when we started increasing the capacity, which means that your space in the data center also started increasing. The space, real estate cost may not be all that relevant here, but it is extremely relevant in cities like Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, within India I'm talking about, even Hyderabad. Hence, in fact, we need to look at how I can reduce the space. Various technologies, various solutions which we are looking at in doing this. One option I did mention is in terms of, I'm just getting some of the slides. One of the solutions I did mention is in terms of doing a virtual provisioning. The second one is in terms of virtual server infrastructure, wherein, in fact, the professor from MIT, he did mention that from 117 servers, they were able to bring down to just 3 blades. This is not theory. In fact, this is an implementation solution which has been done. We have organizations in India who have reduced from close to 500 servers by optimizing and implementing this virtualization solution using VMware. They were able to bring it down